Let this temporary body be burnt into ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices. And because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. So we can read on with the translation. Let's see, I'll just scroll down here. Would you like to read a little bit?
Yes, okay. This temporary material body is certainly a formed dress. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that after the destruction of the material body, the living entity is not annihilated, nor does it lose its identity. The identity of the living entity is never, therefore, impersonal or without form, but on the contrary, it is the material dress which is formless, and which takes a shape according to the form of the indestructible person. No living entity is originally formless, as is wrongly supposed by persons with a poor fount of knowledge. Here also in Mantra 17 of Śrī Īśopaniṣad, the principle is support that the living entity exists after the annihilation of the material body. Continue.
Yeah, let's see if we can look at this. We have the material body and we have the annihilation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can continue. Yeah.
Okay. In the material world, there is wonderful workmanship by the material nature in the matter of creating different varieties of bodies for the living beings, in terms of their propensities for sense gratification. The one who wanted to taste stool is given a material body which is quite suitable for eating stool, that of a hog. Similarly, the tiger has such a body that it can live by enjoying the blood of other animals and by eating their flesh.
Yeah, so stop there. Yeah. So hog, it's another name for pig.
Yeah.
You know, I heard, you know, here in the West, I don't know if you have observed pigs, but I was working in a farm many years ago. You know, instead of going to military, you know, one can choose to work in a farm or something like that. So this was also the time I started chanting like this. So I was vegetarian, but anyway, I was working and I saw they had farm. I saw they had, you know, they were farming pigs. And I didn't like that, so I actually quit this farm after just some months. But anyway, I saw, you know, that they're not eating stool.
No.
But they're eating, you know, whatever they're served. But I heard that in India, especially the Indian pigs, it's like a different breed. At least one type of pig, they are eating stool. Yeah. Like that. So, and then, you know, tiger is a higher body because it's like more in the mode of passion. So that's eating flesh. But the sattvic animal, which animal is higher than tiger? You know, cow. So cow is you know, better association for the human being, because it said in the body of the cow is residing all the demigods. And Krishna also he's, you know, cowherd. So in that way, the cow is the highest, one of the highest animals. And so after that, then the person who is now in the body of a cow will be a person in the body of a human. Yeah. So So I'll read on. The human being is not meant for eating stool or flesh. So you know, the cow, you know, is a vegetarian. So you can see there is like a progression in the consciousness in the animal bodies. So when it comes to that level, then you can, you know, go over to the human form after. So of course, then the human being would be well to not eat flesh Yeah.
Yes.
The human being is not meant for eating stool or flesh because the shape of the teeth is different, nor does he have any desires to taste stool, even in the most aboriginal state of life. Human teeth are so made that they can chew and cut fruit and vegetables, with 2 canine teeth, so that one can eat flesh also. Yeah, so we have these teeth on the side, which is said to be kind of a license then. For those who wants to eat flesh, one can somehow or other manage that by the side teeth. Yeah, go figure. I haven't understood this, but anyway, it's said like that. Yeah. But we have flat teeth on the front, just like the cow has flat teeth, not meant for tearing apart flesh, because you need strong, pointed teeth, right, to tear apart flesh. So what are we using then when we eat flesh? We use fork and knife, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, when Prabhupada was going to America, when he came there, then apparently some person who was there in America, he told Prabhupada, now you need to learn to eat, with a fork and knife.
Yes.
What did Prabhupada say?
I don't know, but at least have to eat with a spoon. I don't know what he said.
Yeah, he said, I didn't come here to learn from you what to do. I came here to teach you what to do.
Yes. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, in India, you eat with the fingers, even not spoon, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so the material bodies of all animals and men are foreign to the living entity and change according to the desire of the being for sense gratification. In the cycle of evolution, one changes bodies one after another, from aquatic life, when the world was full of water, to vegetable life, from vegetable life to worm life, from worm life to bird life, from bird life to animal life, and from animal life to the human form. So you see here, Prabhupada is given some sort of, a reference here to. He's given a reference to the theory of evolution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That at one point, the world was full of water, and then you had the aquatics, and some or other, the land was, becoming more and more, and then you had bodies, emerging on the land. Yeah. But in the beginning, it was just water. Yeah. So yeah, there is kind of a account of this. It looks a little bit like the account of the creation, explained in Christianity, and also in this old, Judaish tradition called Kabbalah. There is also, a account of the creation. It's pretty similar. It starts with very basic, and then it become more and more advanced. The life forms.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have any problem, getting into all this. Basically, the only thing we need to say, you don't need to say nothing, but in terms of our philosophy, our only, idea, like core idea, is that everything comes from Krishna. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So whether it was going through this process or that process, what started it all was Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that way, we don't have any headache. They come up with all kinds of theories and like that. Okay, it may sound plausible or not plausible, but we are resting on the fact that it all started with Krishna. It all started with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says so in the Bhagavatam. He says, "Aham eva asam eva agre." I was there before the beginning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he says the similar in the Upanishad's account also of creation. And I guess he also says the same in the Bible and in the Quran and in the Talmud, the Judean, what is it called? Huh?
Talmud?
It's called the Talmud, the Judean account. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So they're all talking, that it started with God, and He filled, the world with water, and then this Christian account or Judean account is kind of He's splitting the water, from the heaven, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the aquatic life is said to be kind of lower than the vegetable life. Yeah. And then the vegetable life is then, worms are higher than vegetables, because they kind of...
What did you say? Sorry,
worms.
Yeah.
Because he says here, Prabhupada says, from vegetable life to worm life. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
From worm life to bird life. Because who is eating the worms? The birds.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
From bird life to animal life. So after bird you have mammals, four-legged animals. And then you have the humans.
Yeah.
The highest development, the highest development. You wanted to say something? Sorry.
No. It's okay. Thank you.
The highest development of life is this human form when it is possessed of a full sense of spiritual knowledge. And the highest development of spiritual sense is described in this mantra of the Veda. One should give up this material body to be turned into ashes. One should give up this material body to be turned into ashes. So in other words, Prabhupada is acknowledging the process of burning the body after death. What's that called in English? Cremation.
Yes, cremation.
And allow the living air to merge into the eternal reservoir of air. So the idea with cremation is that the subtle body is released. It can more easily go to the next body. The living beings...
No, it's interesting. Now in Europe, they say they don't have space in the cemeteries, that they do more cremation than before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because, in Portugal, in this case, I know most all in my family, everyone was in the cemetery, but now everyone wants to be cremated, and that's interesting.
Oh, that's good then.
Even my parents, they say that they want to be cremated.
I've heard that in Norway, the family has to pay rent on the graveyard.
And depend of the commune. Some commune are more expensive than others.
Right, yeah. So in that way, you can say, and I heard actually that it doesn't last forever. You can say usually, after maybe 100, 200 years or something, then they kind of call it a day, and they just put somebody else in the grave on the same place,
You have to buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
In my country.
So they
you
just
buy like a house.
Yeah.
You buy some
exactly. So they just take away the old tombstone. After
but then you
years,
and then you go to like a box in the wall. I don't know what to call it in English. Like my parents, my grandparents are like that now. They died a long time ago, and they are in the. They make like how do you say? Little boxes where you put like the bones there inside.
Oh, really?
It's a tradition.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. So then it doesn't take so much space. Yeah.
And for another one comes, and the family visit sometimes every week. You continue to do that.
Yeah. So this is very connected with you can say the word smaran, which was there in the verse. Yeah, smara, remembrance.
Yes.
So in that way, the family, is remembering their forefathers. Actually, in many traditions, forefather worship, ancestor worship is going on. Yeah, I mean, it's not going on. It's not like a Norwegian culture. Maybe it was a Viking culture. I don't know, but I heard that in Japan or Asiatic places
Japan,
they do this a lot, right?
Yes, a lot. Yeah.
And I guess they get blessings from the forefathers in that way, or on the other side, they're helping their forefathers.
Yeah.
We
have like an altar at home that you make praise every day or special occasions too.
Even every day that you do, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. So in that way, there is a good family culture to remember, one's lineage. I mean, to remember one's lineage is a great thing also in the Vedic culture.
Mm-hmm.
And the forefather worship is also going on there, but that's called what it is called really, I don't know too much, but I've heard it is also going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tradition, but but of course, we who are new to this tradition, we don't know what is up or down on this thing. But in Hindus, I heard they have been doing this for generations.
Yeah.
Taking care of the remembrance of their forefathers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where did I read now? Yeah, we read about the ashes. Yeah. So the living being's activities are performed within the body by movements of different kinds of air, and this is called, in sum, the prana vayu. Yeah, of course, everybody of us, we have heard about prana.
Yeah.
So it's the life force. It is really, if you think about it, everything is moving by that. Huh?
It's like we say the prana, like when you breathe, is the air. Or something.
Yeah. So vayu, it means the air. Yeah. So, so in other words, it's a life air.
Yeah.
The yogis generally study to control the airs of the body, and the soul is supposed to rise up from one circle of air to another till it rises into the Brahmarandra, or highest circle of air. Yeah. So in the chakra system, you have 6 chakras, which you are supposed to penetrate by consciousness elevation. And then one is ending up in the Brahmarandra, which is the top, point in the skull. And that's said to be, the seat of Lord Brahma. He's sitting on the 1,000-petaled lotus there. So going back there, that means, we're going back to our start as Lord Brahma. And we have been Lord Brahma. So there is like one way of looking at it, which you can say is popular, is to look at it that we have been Lord Brahma, and we're going back to that state by that process of yoga. And then from the seat of Lord Brahma, instead of going down again to different species, 8,400,000 species of life, instead Lord Brahma is exiting then back to the spiritual world through the hole in the skull, which is supposed to be there. But that's of course mechanical. Yeah. And he can go to any planet he likes from there. Yeah. Then the perfect yogi can transfer himself to any planet he likes. The process is give up body, and then the process is to give up the body and then enter into another body, and the highest perfection of such a bodily change is possible when the living entity is able to give up this material body altogether, as suggested in this mantra. Yeah, because that's what the mantra is saying. Let this temporary body be burned into ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. So, in other words, we are also not the air of life, but you can say we are very much, associated with the air of life. In our material existence is very tight with the air of life, right? The air of life. We're very careful about that, extremely careful. Because it's connected, with our birth and death. Where this air of life is arrested, in the body. I mean, if it's not going well with air of life, then we have to leave this body. Because it's transporting us, this air of life, to the next body. So that's why it's really, important business to deal with this air of life properly. However, when one has become, a devotee, as suggested in this verse, one voluntarily wants to give up that air of life and just let it merge with all the airs in the universe. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, that's so...
That is called to be detached.
So deep.
Yeah. So that's why, like there was one Prabhu asked me, that isn't this, Upanishad about, for renounced people? And it is really for renounced. I mean, or it is for those who wants to be renounced. Because it ends with being completely renounced, to give up the air of life. How more renounced can you be? However, one doesn't need to be renounced to start this process of reading, studying this book. But it will definitely end with that. Naturally, it's going to happen. It cannot happen unnaturally. That's the point. It's going to be like natural. As we see, this prayer seems very, very natural. It really is the realization of the one who is saying the prayer, that the person is now free, from the attachment to the material body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
But something like, for example, this is more easier when you are old, or because I don't know. I just
yeah, it may be easier if you are a devotee, a transcendentalist. However, if you have been a materialist the whole life, then it may not be easy at all. Many old people, they are not happy to die, of course, and they have many material attachments which they are meditating on, and they really hate to give up the body, and they're scared when they do that. So and then you have other accounts of spiritual people who are very peaceful when they die and are just welcoming the event. It completely depends on the individual case.
Yeah.
He may then enter into the spiritual atmosphere where he develops a completely different quality of body, a spiritual body, which never has to meet death or change.
Yeah.
So that would be completely in accordance to the consciousness. If a fraction of identification is there with the material body, that may be removed by the grace of the Lord. If the person has been a devotee his or her whole life, the Lord can appear in the consciousness and just drag the person back home. Yeah. So because it may be a little bit, because this connection with the body is there until we actually leave. There is some identification are still there. Yeah. But if it's not too much, then one may be helped by the Lord Himself. If He wants us to serve Him in the spiritual world, He may arrange that. Otherwise, if we really have desires and we feel like we want to do more on the material platform, then the Lord is definitely giving us the next body. However, He is arranging that through the Paramatma, so He's going before us as a super soul. As people have said, there is the light in the tunnel when they have the near-death experience. That's the Paramatma who is flying in front of us. We just follow the light, and then we enter a new womb to be born. It may be a womb of animal or human being.
Yeah.
Hopefully not a tree or something like that.
Yeah.
So here in the material world, one has to change his body, forced by material nature on account of his different desires for sense gratification. These desires are represented in the various species of life, from the germs to the most perfect material bodies, those of Brahma and the demigods. All of these have bodies of matter in different shapes, and the intelligent person sees oneness not in the variety of bodies, but in the spiritual identity. Yeah, so that's the explanation of the Uttamadhikari, or the devotee steeped in goodness. He will not be too much into the different bodily expressions of a soul. He rather try to see the soul activities. And nobody likes people who are judgmental. So a perfect spiritualist will be a minimum just judgmental, because the spiritualist will just see the activities of the soul there, and the external expression is it's just, you can say, indicative of what's going on, but the real importance is the person inside. Yeah. So just like an expert doctor is treating the patient, not caring if the patient is screaming or yelling, or because the doctor know that the patient is sick.
Yeah.
So the doctor just tolerates everything and just intelligently provides the medicine to the patient.
That's a good example.
Somehow or other, if the patient is angry and scream, then the doctor is just using smooth talk. Says, here you may have the medicine, and the doctor may pack in the medicine inside a sweet, a candy, because it may be bitter, so that the patient will not spit out the medicine. He pack it into the candy and give. So this treatment is called Parokshavada, and that's the treatment of the preacher who tries to give Krishna consciousness or God consciousness to to a person who is materially, you can say, deceased.
Yes.
So it has to do that in a very nice way in order for the person to accept. Yeah.
Like you do this course.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There is actually no need to be, preaching in an angry way or put other people down or make a whole, battlefield. Doesn't need to do it like that. Of course, if one wants to, one can easily do that. Make a whole lot of enemies and create a huge battle. Or one can do it in a more peaceful way, create friends. Yeah. So, the spiritual spark, which is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is the same either in the body of a hog or in the body of a demigod. There are different bodies according to the pious and vicious activities of the living entity. The human body is highly developed, with full consciousness of the constitution of the body, and the most perfect man, according to the Vedic scriptures, surrenders unto the Lord after many, many births of culturing knowledge. The culture of knowledge reaches perfection only when the knower comes to the point of surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, called Vasudeva. You heard about that name, Vasudeva?
Yeah.
What does it actually mean?
I don't know, but I heard about it, Vasudeva.
Yeah, it means Krishna, the son of Vasudeva.
Yeah. The father.
There is this effect that the son of somebody can get the same name as the father.
Same name.
So you have, in Norwegian language also, you had, the father was named Hans, and the son name was named Hansen.
Yeah, in Portugal the same. We can, in the school you were treated like the last name.
Yeah.
And then,
Exactly. So in that way, Krishna's father is Vasudeva with a short A, like that. Vasudeva, like that. And then Krishna, he is then Vasudeva, with long A. Yeah. So you can say in the Bhagavad Gita, you have like Arjuna, he's getting this strange name, you can say Kaunteya. Why is he called Kaunteya? Because it's a son of Kunti. Yeah. So in the translation it says, O son of Kunti, but in the Sanskrit it says Kaunteya. So it's created, you can say, from the Kunti name, is like inside there's happening something called Sandhi, it's just building up, creating that sense that he's coming from Kunti. So in the same name, you call devotees Vaishnava, and that means because they are coming from Vishnu, or they are, Vishnu's people. Yeah. In the same way, you have. Anyway, you can give so many examples. Yeah. So Supreme Lord called Vasudeva, but even after attaining knowledge in the matter of one's spiritual identity, unless it comes to the point of knowing that the living entities are eternal part and parcel of the whole, and that they can never become the whole, one has to fall down again into the material atmosphere, even after having become one with the Brahma Jyoti. Yeah, so actually this point I made, that you have your name coming from the father name, or even mother name, like Arjuna, he had his name from the mother name, yeah. So he didn't have his name from the father, right? Arjuna is called. Yeah. I don't know even who is the father of Arjuna. No, of course I know. It's Vayu, yeah. It's the wind god. But you never hear.
He has the name of the family.
Yeah, but you never hear Arjuna called, the son of Vayu, right? He's called the son of Kunti. And the reason is because Kunti is more famous as a devotee of Krishna than the wind god, actually. So here you can see what counts. What counts is the devotional merit in the spiritual circles. So in that way, the mother of Arjuna is lauded as more advanced on a higher level than, even the wind god. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty high. So, but I give this point of the name because devotees are called Vaishnava, and that shows that we are personalists. Because if you go to the impersonalists, sometimes they're greeting each other, say Om Namo Narayan. They call each other Narayan even, because they see the oneness, that they're just one with God. But of course, then that doesn't become personal identity so much. It's everybody has basically the same identity then. Yeah. Yep. So So Prabhupada is just saying here that if they think they're part and part, if they think they are the whole, then one has to fall down again into the material atmosphere, even after having become one with the Brahmajyota. It's also given an account in Bhagavatam, many places. Stanad Brashta Patantyada. Yeah. One may be on this platform, Stana, on this situation, for some time, being merged with Brahma, but then one may fall down. Apparently, some devotees, they mean that one may actually merge with Brahma Jyoti forever. Anyway, I wouldn't try that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Why? Yeah. Why they think? Why they want to be there?
Yeah. I mean, some people, they like to be very peaceful, and they feel like life itself is a botheration.
Yeah.
People are different.
Yes.
That's for sure. Yeah. Prabhupada one time said that the Buddhists, they may become stones.
Yes, I know that part.
And in one sense it may make sense, because they say that stones have actually energy inside of them. There may actually be life inside the stones, however incredible it sounds like, because you have different stones and they may have different energies. And back in the day, in Satya Yuga, there are records that so pardon me, but we just quoting from the scriptures. It was said that the mountains could fly.
Yeah.
They had wings. Yeah. So life was fantastic at that time. Flying mountains. Yeah. And sometimes Indra he was bugged by these flying mountains. So he sent his thunderbolts and cut off their wings.
Oy.
And guess what happened with the mountains? They just they crashed down, and they just stayed down because they didn't have wings anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why they're lying there today. Yeah. You have cultures, in India also some mountains are worshipped.
Yes, in Japan too. In
Japan also, yeah.
Yes.
So God knows, the reality must have been very, very different. We're talking about not only thousands and thousands, but millions and millions of years ago. Okay, so let's read on. In this mantra, the living entity prays to enter into the spiritual kingdom of God after relinquishing the material body and the material air. The devotee prays to the Lord to remember his activities and the sacrifices he has performed, now before his material body is turned into ashes. This prayer is made at the time of death, with full consciousness of his past deeds and of the ultimate goal. One who is completely under the rules of material law remembers the heinous activities performed during the existence of his material body, and therefore he gets another material body after death. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this truth. It states that at the time of death the mind carries with it the propensities of the dying animal, and next life is obtained in terms of that mental state. Yeah, so the good thing about chanting Hare Krishna is that heinous activities, or whatever samskaras we may have from our material past, they are burned up. They're practically forgotten in the light of all the wonderful leelas of Krishna and the attraction to that. Otherwise, it would be that we may have some material bodies hanging in the closet ready for us after this life.
Yeah.
It's said that Yamaraj, he is. There is a verse which says that Yamaraj is not. It says Yamaraj is merciless. He just he just looks at the list and see whatever we have done, and he just gives the body accordingly. Yeah. But it said in that verse that if we become devotees of Krishna, we chant his name and like that we do seva, then Yamaraj is he becomes up east. And he may milden his plan for us, his punishment plan. He may think that, okay, this person is now nice devotee, okay, let me skip this animal body anyway. He can be at least a human being next life. Yeah.
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 Yes.
So as you see, the ash is just. It's just like it's not even discussed, that you want to have, your body completely burned. No, it's just like everybody in the Vedic culture, they burn the body. It's no question even to, bury the body in the full state. However, there is an exception, and that is the person who has reached samadhi. Yeah, the gurus.
Yeah.
The Mahatmas, the great souls who have touched the lives of so many other people by their spiritual activities. And the reason for that is that these souls are so great that they just want to keep connecting with people. Yeah. So they stay there. So that's called, this kind of tomb. It's like usually they create a whole like shape there, where the devotees, their disciples and others who will remember them, they can come there and see the picture of them. They can offer their prayers to bow down, and they can do a whole bhajan there, and they remember them, especially on their disappearance day. So in Vrindavan you have many of these tombs, for Rupa Goswami, for example, there. Prabhupada stayed, in the temple where this it's called also a samadhi. Yeah. So as we know, samadhi also means to attain the highest perfection of spiritual success.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So their burial places are also called samadhis, then indicating that one needs to be in samadhi to be buried, with the full body not being, burned. Otherwise, if we bury the full body, being not in samadhi, being rather, in material consciousness, one may hover over that place as a ghost because of the attachment to that body. Yeah. So then you have it like the whole scenario of the graveyard with the ghosts. Yeah.
Yes.
And the devotees are not subscribing to that. They rather just, have a peaceful, atmosphere. Yeah. So that's part of why devotees are advocating to be cremated rather than have the body burned. Unless we talk about Mahatma Guru. So yeah.
No, I was just thinking about. I think I told you that once, and me and my friend, when we had these crazy dreams with the ghost, but when from the moment that we start chanting, everything disappeared. Never again this happened again. So
yeah, chanting is very very strong for driving away
even when you were
everything
chanting
bad.
in your dreams, asking for help to Krishna, that these things disappeared.
Yeah, this is the experience of millions of people. They are running away. Yeah. In front of the name of the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unlike the simple animals who have no developed mind, the human being can remember the activities of his passing life like dreams at night, and therefore his mind remains surcharged with material desires, and he cannot enter into the spiritual kingdom with a spiritual body. Sorry, I have to digest this sentence. Yes. Unlike the simple animals who have no developed mind, the human being can remember the activities of his passing life. How does he remember them? Like dreams at night. So, it said, as time is passing, our past is just converted into dreams. It becomes more and more, you can say, unreal as more as more the time is passing. Like say for example, when we were children, things are happening and we take that super serious, and it is serious. But then we grow up and like that, it's not so serious anymore. What happened to us when we were children?
Exactly.
But in the youth, the stuff happening in the youth is very serious and traumatic or whatever. Then when we get older, we kind of get detached from these activities, and we may not even think about them, or they may seem like even unreal the older we get. Was it really me who went through all this? And when we change our body and get another body, we forget all about it, whatever we went through. It's converted into something like a dream. Of course, it was happening, but now we have a new body. We don't relate with that anymore. So in the same way, it's said that when the living entity is coming to the spiritual world, he will view, he or she will view the activities happening in all these successive bodies. Maybe we're an animal, maybe we're this, that, maybe thousands of lives. It will not be so important. It will be like just you have a dream. And the dream may be important very much when we're dreaming it, but after that, it was just a dream. Yeah. So the analogy is very clear, because it said that we are all actually existing in the dream of Mahavishnu called the Yoga Nidra. He's breathing out the universes, and we have so many existences. And he's breathing in again, and we are just in the state of unmanifestation, like deep sleep. And then again he's breathing out, and we are again created. So that's unlike the simple animals. So Prabhupada says, unlike the simple animals who have no developed mind, the human being can remember the activities of his passing life. So we can remember. We can even. It's said that one can somehow or other get. It's called a past life regression. One can remember something from the past life even. I don't know about that. If it is true, then I can accept it.
I did a regression before. I don't know if what I saw it was true, but I thought it was my past lives. So I don't know, but that did.
Yeah, I guess it is, because there is it said there is a mystical power one can get, so that one can remember one's previous life. I'm just a little unsure that if all these regression therapies are true. I'm just not so sure about that, because why, in all these regressions, usually the person has been something great in the previous life, like, there was a president, one was a queen, one was this. You were not there. Okay, so maybe your case was true then. Because I was wondering, why all these people who had regression was something great, because usually we are just normal people here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, so
some people think to do for curiosity, and they don't know what they are doing. I think it was like that. I did it for curiosity, so long time ago. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it may help us in the spiritual life, I hope, if one is doing that. Yeah. If not, it may make us even more attached to our material bank account, so to speak. Yeah. So sometimes Prabhupada is giving the example, don't worry so much about how you are, about your past life or whatever. It's just like you are in the burning house. If somewhere you wake up and the house is burning, you don't think who put on the fire, how did that happen, or what. You just run out of the house. Yeah. It's such a good example. I mean, it's such a good example to remember, because it really is like that. Then it's the urgency is very strong. You just have to get out of the house. So just save yourself from the material world. Just chant like never before. Yeah. Okay, so but animals. I have experienced that animals are dreaming. Actually, I heard that at least dogs. I heard that dogs can dream, because we had a dog, when I was little, and I remember sometimes the dog was dreaming, and he was like, he was going through something. It was very easy to see, and he even, he even was barking a little bit. He was like, was he dreaming? He was fighting with another dog, or?
I had a cat too, and he was dreaming too. I could see it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe not the very simple animals like insects. I guess they don't dream.
We cannot see it.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's said that the dream is a function of the intelligence to digest, all the impressions and something like that. According to the scriptures, actually, one can also get some messages in the dream. I don't know, how often that happens though. Anyway, so the devotees, however, by practice of devotional service to the Lord, develop a sense of love for God. Did I read the full sentence? No, I said no. Unlike the simple animals who have no developed mind, the human being can remember the activities of his passing life, like dreams at night, and therefore his mind remains surcharged with material desires. and he cannot enter into the spiritual kingdom with a spiritual body. Yeah. So in other words, if one has a whole smaran, a whole line of remembrances from one's life when one dies, one may be so absorbed in that one may not remember Krishna. This is a crucial thing. That's why I'm a little wary, about getting into one's past life remembrance, because that, as far as I can see, it creates even more stuff in the mind, which you have to get rid of, right? If you want to go back to Krishna, you don't need all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like a better idea simply to get more and more into the trance of Krishna, to read about Krishna pastime like that, and start having develop a desire to attain Krishna. That would kind of put all these material experiences, past life experience, whatever, in the background, as less important, and simply the attraction to Krishna and whatever has to do with Krishna would be the main thing in the consciousness. And as far as I can understand, that would be much better for future prospects.
Mm-hmm.
The devotees, however, so that's what Prabhupada actually says here. The devotees, however, by practice of devotional service to the Lord, develop a sense of love for Godhead. And even if at the time of death a devotee does not remember his godly service, the Lord does not forget him. That's what I said, that we may not be fully, because we are still in the material body, we may still have a little bit of that consciousness, more or less. But the Lord is not forgetting. If we did a lot of seva, He wants to have something to do with us. That's the idea. This prayer is to remind the Lord about the devotee's sacrifices, but even if there is no reminder, the Lord does not forget the devotional service of the pure devotee. So, of course, here we have the adjective pure, which may make our endeavor a little more difficult, because we have to be pure. Yeah. See, Prabhupada doesn't say, the mixed devotee or the half-baked devotee. He says the pure devotee. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we have this progression to try to become more advanced. Otherwise, you could say, I just believe, and that would be enough. But it is not enough. Apparently, we have to, work to come to that platform where our chitta is pure, our consciousness is free from, the hankerings of the ahankara, the hankerings of the false ego.
Yes.
The Lord clearly describes his intimate relationship with his devotees in the Gita. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the Gita's verses in this connection. Yeah, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has given a commentary here. One should accept a devotee who is on the right path of the saints, even though such a devotee may seem of loose character. One should try to understand the real import of the words loose character. A conditioned soul has to act in double functions, namely, one, for the maintenance of the body, and again for self-realization. Social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and the struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of the body. Unfortunately, this may fill up most of our day. Right? And the self-realization part of his activities is executed in his occupation as a devotee of the Lord, and he performs action in that connection also. So who is most, you can say, he is, what I mean to say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he really can speak about this because he's famous for doing a lot of, government service. He was working for the government, as a judge. He was really, dealing with the world very much. So he knows what he's speaking about very much. He was able to balance the whole thing.
Yeah.
So in that way, he shows the path for all of us, that it is indeed possible to take care of your job, your family, and at the same time be, a full-fledged devotee, 100%. So he says, and the self-realization part of his activities is executed in his occupation as a devotee of the Lord. It means, karma yoga, one is doing, everything connected with the Lord. Or it can even be bhakti yoga if one is actually 100% pure in the consciousness. There is nothing but bhakti. And he performs action in that connection also. these two different functions go along parallel lines because a conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of the body. The proportion of activities for maintenance of the body decreases. Yeah, you know what the meaning of decrease? It becomes less.
Yes, clear.
However, in proportion to the increase in devotional service. So the devotional service become more and the maintenance of the body become less. And that Bhaktivinoda Thakur showed very nicely. I saw, his timeplan, his daily schedule. And he was working something like 6 hours a day. He was eating and like that, maybe 1 or 2 hours a day. He was sleeping like not more than 4 hours apparently. And then he used 8 hours for the scriptures, reading, studying scripture, and writing. 8 hours, can you imagine? Every single day. Of course, he didn't have a computer or phone like we have. So he had, a lot of time for doing that.
We should work 16 hours without computer. If we have computers, should do the double.
Isn't it? Yeah. As long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance for an occasional exhibition of worldliness. It's very nicely put. Occasional exhibition of worldliness. So say, you become attracted to see a worldly movie or, go to the Tivoli or to the circus. Yeah. Just because, not for any, spiritual reason. But anyway, once we are there in the circus, you can say, then we can connect again to Krishna. We can think, Krishna has put me here for a reason. I'm supposed to learn something from this. And that way we can, we can still actually be in yoga. And in that way, there is no bar for a devotee to spiritualize the situation. That's actually what we should do. When we still have material attachment, we can try and spiritualize the attachment. And we will never be lost, because Krishna says the devotee is never lost. If you remember me, he is never lost, no matter what situation he is. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, but it should be noted that such worldliness cannot continue for any length of time, because by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. Yeah. But then you can say, I've been in Krishna consciousness process for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, still is there. So shortly it can be, in comparison to our whole life. In one day of Brahma, 4,320,000 years is passing. Yeah. No, actually that's just a yuga cycle. One day of Brahma is 1,000 such cycles. And you can say one day is quite short time in terms of, whole life of Brahma. So you can say, if you can and if we can end, our worldliness in, say, 10 yuga cycles, 40 million years, it's quite short. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So what to speak of if we can do it in just 10 lives? Once I heard that it may take 3 lives, actually. From the point you actually start Bhakti Yoga until you become a Siddha, it may take 3 lives.
Yeah.
That's not very long.
That's not much.
In comparison to all the thousands and maybe millions of life you had before. And Prabhupada even said that it could be possible in just one life even. But that probably would mean, as far as I can understand, it would mean that we may have been devotees from previous lives.
Yes.
If one can do it in just one life. Anyway, whatever is the situation, it is very, full of grace and mercy. And it goes quite quick. Yeah. Therefore, the path of devotional service is the only right path. Being on the right path, even an occasional occurrence of worldliness does not hamper one in the advancement of self-realization.
What that means? Does not hamper.
Yeah, hamper means to obstruct.
Yeah, I know.
So say you're in the summer, you're enjoying the summertime and like that, and there comes a mosquito and bite one. So the mosquito can hamper our enjoyment momentarily. We're not enjoying, when the mosquito is there. we're bugged by the mosquito.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, we may squash the mosquito, but then I remember we don't do that as devotees.
No.
So instead, some or other, we just push the mosquito away and maybe put on the shirt or something so the mosquito is not biting anymore, or spray ourselves with some anti-mosquito,
Yeah.
repellent. And then again,
I have that problem, I know.
yeah, and the problem is out. What did you say?
Yeah. I have that problem with mosquitoes. And that's my problem.
Yeah, me also. So in that way, but after that, we don't think about that anymore. It's gone, and we can continue enjoying. Yeah. So in the same way with devotional service, the anarthas may come up and give us some trouble, but not for so long. If we continue what we're doing and we will not bug too much by that, then we can carry on our practice.
And it's just once a year, no problem.
Yeah, in the case of mosquitoes, yes. Yeah, very, very true. Yeah. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur he goes on to say that in the Gita itself, Krishna says, one who is engaged in devotional service despite the most abominable action is to be considered saintly because he is rightly situated. Very shortly, does he become righteous and attain to lasting peace. O son of Kunti, it is my promise that my devotee will never perish. O son of Pritha, anyone who will take shelter in me, whether a woman or a merchant or born in a log family, can yet approach the supreme destination. How much greater then are the Brahmanas, the righteous, the devotees, and saintly kings. In this miserable world, these are fixed in devotional service to the Lord. Engage in my service and surrender unto me. Completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak. So it said, to be badly behaved, durachar. That is, abominable, but still, if one, is going on to practice the spiritual life, at least one cannot accuse the person to be wrongly situated. If one is chanting Hare Krishna, reading, the Shastra, trying to understand the philosophy of Krishna, of course, that's good. And hopefully by that practice, by self, awareness, one can, shortly correct one's behavior. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, such facilities of devotional service are denied the impersonalists because they are attached to the Brahmajyoti feature of the Lord. They can neither penetrate the Brahmajyoti, as is suggested in the previous mantras, nor do they believe in the personality of Godhead. Their business is mostly concerned with semantics, the juggling of words of mental creation. Yeah, so that's the meaning. The meaning of semantics is, Prabhupada calls it juggling of words of mental creation. Well, yeah. So semantics means to be concerned with, the words, and they are very much, looking at the Sanskrit words to get them right, because it's actually very connected with that, the impersonalist path. To really have success in that, one would do well to be, into the Sanskrit, because with that one can get the deeper meaning for meditation. Yeah. As such, the impersonalists pursue fruitless labor, as is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita in the 12th chapter. So you have, Shankaracharya himself, the leader of the impersonalists. He had a famous, prayer where he says, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda. And then it says, give up all this juggling of words. Give up all this, Sanskrit grammar, juggling of words. Just worship Govinda. So from that verse, it may seem that even Shankaracharya, he was a devotee of Govinda. And that's the explanation also we are getting. That he was the incarnation of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is, of course, a devotee of Krishna. Yeah. So so in his Bhagavad Gita commentary, Shankaracharya also made a Bhagavad Gita commentary, and he says there, Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Yeah. He says that Lord Narayan is beyond the material creation. And Prabhupada is citing, that utterance of Sankaracharya and saying that Sankaracharya himself was also accepting the Lord's transcendental position beyond, Maya, actually. Yeah. Okay, so all the facilities suggested in this verse of Śrī Īśopaniṣad can easily be obtained by constant contact with the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Devotional service to the Lord consists essentially of 9 transcendental activities on the part of the devotee. Yeah, so here we're now going to hear about the Nava Anga Bhakti, as it is called. That's spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So that's hearing about the Lord, glorifying the Lord, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord's feet of the Lord, worshipping the Lord, offering prayers to the Lord, serving the Lord, friendly association with the Lord, surrendering and everything to the Lord. These 9 principles of devotional service, either in sum total or one by one, can help the devotee to be constantly in touch with God. And therefore, at the end of life, it is easy for the devotee to remember the Lord. By adopting only one of these 9 principles, it was possible for the following renowned devotees of the Lord to achieve the highest perfection. So, by hearing only Maharaj Parikshit, the hero of Srimad Bhagavatam achieved the desired result. So, who did the Maharaj Parikshit hear from? Who was telling Maharaj Parikshit the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Krishna.
Well, yeah, you can say the Shukadev Goswami is said to be an incarnation of Krishna. Yeah, it was Shukadev.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have, just by glorifying the Lord, Shukadev Goswami, the speaker of Bhagavatam, achieved his perfection. By praying, Akrura achieved the desired result. So Akrura is there in the Krishna Lila. He's the uncle. At one point, he's coming to Vrindavan to pick up Krishna and Balaram because they're supposed to go to Mathura to fight, the wrestlers of Kamsa. So Akrura is coming to Vrindavan. It's explained that he's rolling in the dust of Vrindavan. He's a devotee. And he's starting to make great prayers to the Lord. And by that, he achieved, Siddha. Became a pure devotee. By remembering, Prahlad Maharaj achieved the desired result. You know the story of Prahlad?
I think so, but you can tell for everybody who's listening.
Let's see if I can remember. Yeah, so he remembered the Lord always. So he was supposed to be burned. Like, the father of Prahlad Maharaj was the demon Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah.
So after Prahlad Maharaj had kind of revealed that he is the devotee of Krishna, then Hiranyakashipu, he tried to, kill him in various ways.
Yeah.
So one of the ways was that he had this witch to take him on the lap. And this witch, she was wearing a cloak, like frakk, is called in Norwegian. Yeah, whole dress.
Yes.
And that was kind of a magic dress so that she wouldn't be burned when sitting in the fire. But Prahlad, he would be burned, because he didn't have that dress. Yeah, so she was sitting in the fire, and she put Prahlad, please, dear Prahlad, come on my lap. You see, I'm sitting here, I'm not burned. So you can also sit on my lap, and, it works. Yeah. So Prahlad Maharaj was just a child. So he said, okay. However, once Prahlad Maharaj was sitting there and the fire was burning, she got burned, actually, even though she had, the invincible cloak. And Prahlad Maharaj, he remained unburned. And this is one of the celebrations going on in the holy, this holy festival. It's not just throwing the colors. It also celebrates, the burning of this witch. Yeah. So, in the holy festival, I saw, they're sometimes burning this effigy of this witch, like, the form of that witch, as part of the holy festival. Yeah. So Prahlad Maharaj, he was thrown out from the cliff. He was tried to be drowned in the water. He was put in the pit of snakes. He just was completely unharmed. So that's the effect of Krishna's Smaranam. And he definitely got, the lotus feet of Krishna as a result of that. So the point is that if one is a devotee of Krishna, one is protected in all circumstances. And by worshipping, Prithu Maharaj achieved perfection. So you heard about Prithu Maharaj?
No.
He was the king back in the Satya Yuga or Treta Yuga. He is Shakti Avesh avatar of Krishna as a Raja or king. So he was showing the way to be the king, and he did a lot of worship. As kings supposed to worship Krishna. I mean worship Bhagavan, Vishnu or Krishna. And when one is doing that properly, one is achieving, the spiritual world. So he did that. And then by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, achieved perfection. So Lakshmi Devi, if you've seen a picture of her, she's serving the Lord by massaging his feet. By personal service to the Lord, Hanuman achieved the desired result. So what did Hanuman do for Lord Ram?
I don't know.
The better question would be actually what he did not do for Lord Ram. He was prepared to do everything for Lord Ram.
Okay.
You've seen the picture of Hanuman, he opening up his heart, and he has Sita Ram in there. Yeah. So for example, in the battle, with Ravana, then Lakshman, the brother of Ram, he got arrows in him or something like that. No, I mean he got attacked by one of the weapons, by one of Ravana's soldiers, and Lakshman was about to lose his life. Yeah, he got attacked by some kind of weapon, some kind of poison or something. And then there was a Vaidya there, an Ayurvedic doctor, and he said, actually, Lakshman, he can be healed if you get the right herbs. And these herbs are in the mountain far, far away. So Hanuman, he said, I can do it. He just jumped up in the sky, and he just flew over to this mountain. And he was looking for this herb, and he told, I will not waste time trying to find this specific herb. I was told, that the herb is on this mountain. So let me just grab the mountain. He just tore off the top of the mountain with all the herbs. And he just flying back with the mountain in his hand, the tip of the mountain. You saw a picture of Hanuman flying with this, yeah?
Yes.
So then he's coming back. So he's doing a lot of service. There is no service he's not ready to do. And that's why he is the king of the Dasyas. Arjuna is also serving Krishna, but he's doing that in friendship. By friendship, Arjuna achieved the result. And 9, by surrendering everything that he had, Maharaj Bali achieved the desired result. So you know the story about Bali Maharaj?
No.
He was the king of the Asuras. However, he was a pure devotee. So when the Asuras, headed by Indra, the demigods, they were complaining because the Asuras had taken over the kingdom of heaven. So they went to Vishnu, and then Vishnu said, "No problem, I will come as an incarnation and sort the issue." So he then came as the dwarf Brahmana, Vamanadev, and Bali is so pious. So whenever there comes a Brahmana, he wants to give him everything. So he said, "What can I give you?" And the dwarf Brahmana, Krishna in the form of the dwarf Brahmana, said, "I don't need nothing." "Oh, please ask about something." "Okay, 3 steps of land I can have." "What is this? Just 3 steps?" And then Vamana Devi is giving a whole class, that actually, Brahmachari should be self-satisfied, doesn't need nothing.
No.
Okay, so take your 3 steps. So he took 1 step and he covered, all the way up to heavenly planets. Second step, he covered, through the whole universe. He pierced through the universe with his foot, actually, on the second step. He just expanded his body so much. So he was no longer a dwarf. He was enormous. And, when his big toe on his foot was piercing through the layers of the universe, that enabled, Ganga to flow down to the material world from the spiritual strata. then Vamana that said, you cheated me. You said I could have 3 steps. Now I took 2, and I have everything in the whole universe. Please, you have to figure out how to give me, what I was asking for. So what did Bala Maharaj do? Then he said, okay, take the 3rd step on my head. So that's called Sharanagati. He surrendered himself to the Lord. So not just what we have, but everything in our possession, including ourselves. That's called full surrender, self-surrender. So that's Atmanivedana also is called here in the Bhagavad Gita, to surrender one's Atma, one's soul. So in that way he achieved the desired result, because Krishna was very happy with him then. And he said, I will arrest you now and put you down in the Patala Loka, in the lower planetary system. But actually, we will have a quite nice residence there, and I will be your doorkeeper. Yeah. So in that way, if you do any of these, we will get a desired result. What to speak of if we do all of them?
Big list.
Huh?
It's a big list.
It's a big list, yeah. I mean, it's only 9 items, but yeah, they're very big. Each item is very big. Yeah. Yeah. It's giving a menu. We can choose what we like to do. Everybody is individual and cannot be forced. Well, we can be forced, but in the long run, especially in bhakti, force will not do the job 100%. At the end of the day, one has to actually desire to do 1 of these, or 2 of these, or 3 of these, or all 9. Yep. Actually, the explanation of this mantra and of practically all the mantras of the Vedic hymns is summarized in the Vedanta Sutra. And then again, they are properly explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So Vedanta Sutra, as we have talked about before, is sutra means very terse, very short and concise, and not much extra information given. They have to be explained. And the huge explanation is the Srimad Bhagavatam, where everything is explained in stories. That's why this is the book to read, to understand the Vedanta Sutras. So it's a Purana, and Puranas are meant to explain, the Vedas. And the Vedanta Sutra in particular is explained by Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called the Brahma Sutra Bhasya. Srimad Bhagavatam is the mature fruit of the Vedic tree of wisdom. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this particular mantra is explained in the questions and answers of Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami. This particular mantra, so Prabhupada is referring to the mantra which is, mantra 17, obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so he says here, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this particular mantra is explained in the questions and answers of Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami at the very beginning of their meeting. As hearing and chanting of the science of God is the basic principle of devotional life, so the complete Bhagavatam is heard by Maharaj Parikshit and chanted by Goswami Shukadev. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadev because Shukadev was a greater spiritual master than any great yogi or transcendentalist of his time. Maharaj Parikshit's question was, what is the duty of every man, specifically at the time of death? The answer by Goswami Shukadev was that everyone who is desirous of being free from all anxieties should always hear about and glorify the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme director of everything, the extinguisher of all difficulties, and the super soul of all living entities. So-called human society is generally engaged at night in the matter of sleeping or sex indulgence, and during the daytime men are engaged in earning money as much as possible, or else in shopping for the family maintenance. People have very little time to talk about the personality of Godhead or to make any inquiries about him. Is it true?
Yeah, some people. It's true. It's not?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yes. Most
for most of the material world, yeah. Actually, Prabhupada is just saying what is there in the Bhagavatam, because this is straight from the Bhagavatam's descriptions. Yeah. They have dismissed the case of God's existence in so many ways, especially by declaring him to be impersonal, that is, without any sense perception. But in the Vedic literature, whether the Upanishads or the Vedanta Sutras or the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, in every scripture it is declared that the Lord is a sentient being, supreme over all living entities. And his glorious activities...
What means sentience?
It means there is consciousness there.
Okay.
Just like they talk, that they think that artificial intelligence can be sentient.
Yes.
So they think it will have individual consciousness. Well, we don't believe in that very much. I mean, from the Vedic point of view, you can't have consciousness in anything unless you have a jiva there.
Yes.
Maybe they're able to get a jiva into the machine, like Ghost in Machine.
Yeah.
There is a story, that there is a couple of accounts where the great rishis, or even Brahma himself, was able to create, kind of a machine of a woman, and then they put the jiva in there afterwards, and then the machine become alive. Yeah. So the account of Lord Brahma doing that is the story of Tilottama. So because they needed to have a very beautiful, most beautiful lady in the universe, because you had the two sons of Hiranyakashipu. They started to create. Hiranyakashipu was dead, but you have these two sons who were very powerful demons. They did tapasya as usual, as all great demons do. They got very powerful. Nobody could stop them. But they were brothers. They liked each other. So then, Lord Brahma, he got the plan that he should create, the most beautiful woman, and put that woman there amongst the two brothers, and the two brothers will then fight with each other to get the lady, and then they will, be defeated. So he took all the best elements of the whole universe, all the best things of the whole universe. He just combined them together and created this lady, and then he put a jiva into the machine. Yeah. And then she came in front of the two demons, and she was just so attracted. They immediately said, she is mine, and the other brother said, she is mine. And then they started fighting with each other, and they actually killed each other. And then, the demigods were happy, because then they could get back the control of the universe. Yeah. And then you have another story of, I think it was Agastya Muni. He created his own daughter. Yeah. And then he gave away the daughter to the king. I think the king adopted the daughter. And then when the daughter was growing up, and it became, grown. Agastya Muni, he actually married her. So anyway, these are just stories from the scriptures, which shows that the great rishis or Brahma, they could create actually from themselves, the whole body, and then put life into it afterwards. Yeah. So let's see what more we have here in the text. And his glorious activities are identical with himself. One should therefore not indulge in hearing and speaking about the rubbish activities of worldly politicians and the so-called big men of society, but should so mold his life that not a second is wasted without engagement in godly activities. Yeah. So rubbish activities of worldly politicians and so-called big men of society. It said, it's rubbish. It's called, those people who are interested in hearing about all this mundane stuff, they're called Vayasam Tirtam. Or it said, it's a pilgrimage for the crows. Tad Vayasam Tirtam Ushanti Manasana Yatrahamsa Niramantu Siksha. And those are actually, saintly people. They're called the Hamsas, or like swan. So you have the difference between a swan and a crow. The crows are going to the trash can, as we know. And the swans, they are just there playing with the lotuses.
Different.
Yeah, so we try to become more in that direction of the swans. Yeah. It said, the great, very great spiritualist who has perfect behavior is called a Paramahamsa, the greatest Hamsa or greatest swan. Yeah. And the crows, they are, the pets or representative animals of Shani. Shani, is You can say one of the most inauspicious grahas or planets is Saturn. Yeah.
Saturn. Okay.
So there is some kind of idea there that we should stay away from the garbage. Yeah. Śrī Īśopaniṣad directs us towards such activities. So in other words, not the garbage activities, but the activities of the swans. It's explained that the swans, they like to play with the lotuses. Yeah, they dip down in their lotus has high stems, and sometimes the swans, they like to dip down their heads, and play in the stems of the lotuses, and have a lila with that. That sounds like a much better idea than going to the trash can and have a lila with the trash. Yeah. So we can take our pick what we want to do in life. But Srila Prabhupada is very clear in his instructions to us here. Yeah. So unless one is accustomed to this devotional practice, what will he remember at the time of death when the body is dislocated? And how can he pray to the Almighty Lord to remember his sacrifices? Sacrifice means sacrificing the interest of the senses. One has to learn this art by employing the senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime, so that one can utilize the result at the time of death. So you have some more comments or questions?
This is very profound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because and no one knows what's going to be, what we're going to feel when we are in the death, near death. And of course, if we have our thoughts in Krishna, or our heart in Krishna, will be much easier.
It will be much easier, yeah. Let's hope we can continue learning from this.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think what we can say, like people who are not devotees, and if you present this situation, what should you say? If we don't know.
You can try and help anybody to give this philosophy to people. Can be done in so many ways. The main way is actually to care about the people when they need it. Yeah. This idea to just preach, it's combined with caring.
Yeah.
Like my Guru Maharaj said, preaching means reaching. You put a P before the word reach, then it becomes preach. Yeah. So if you don't have reach, then it's only P. Yeah. So it has to be reaching, and then there will be preaching. So actually, it's not really about that we want force feed people with this knowledge by hook or by crook. No, I mean we care about people's lives, that they're happy, that it's going in the right direction, and then if we ourselves see the value of what we have here, then of course we will naturally share that with people as a part of a general care of people. Yeah. Not that it's only this, right? You see, the other way is that we only talk from the books, and then we don't give a damn about the person, the person's personal life. We only wants to, talk about this and nothing else. That will probably not give a great result, because it said, that. Okay, you may think, that I'm speaking these mantras to the person or this knowledge, and that in that way, the person is getting some sukriti just by hearing. But it will be actually very little spiritual progress, because if one doesn't have faith, it's explained in Bhagavatam. If the Shraddha is very weak, then the progress is also extremely small. So rather help the person to get Shraddha, to get faith. And that said, that Shraddha is developing by sadhu sangha.
Yeah.
And that means to speak about the scriptures in a way that it will actually attract or interest the person, that it has something to do which is applicable in relativity to a person's life. Yeah. So it's not just up in the sky some lofty teachings, but it can actually practically apply to what we have to deal with here. Yeah. So that's maybe a way to to communicate this. Yeah. It has to be translated to our situation today. This is many thousands of years ago. But it's universal truths which are very deep. And then we can see, how can it, help us today. Actually, I have a few. I will take up some texts in connection with this, which I prepared. Let's see. Just give me a second. Okay. Take a look at this. Yeah, so he is the highest and the best destination. He helps devotees by bestowing his grace. Yeah, so the Lord is Kalyana Tama. Yeah, so he's the greatest well-wisher. Yeah, and then we have another one. Let's see here. Yeah, we can now look at the mantra 17 overview. Yeah. So the material body is a foreign dress. So you can see this now on the YouTube?
Yes, yeah. I see this. Now it's gone. Perhaps come another one.
Yeah, now I have the overview here. You can see it, mantra 17 overview?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So the first 3 paragraphs, the material body is a foreign dress that must be given up. The best way to give up the body is by surrendering to the Lord, not by going to the Brahma Jyoti. Yeah. So that's the paragraph 4 and 5. And the importance of the last thoughts of life, what we think about in the end. So that's, Antara Narayana Smriti, it's called, if you remember the Lord in the end of life, that will, be the best. However, Krishna never forgets our service to him, that we talk about in the paragraphs 8 and 9. So he may take us back, although we may not have a strong remembrance. And then Krishna's mercy is ever available through devotional service. That's paragraph 10 and 11. And Bhagavatam elaborates this verse and all other verses. Prepare for death in devotional practice. That's the main thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the core of the whole thing. Because especially Bhagavatam has that as the focus, to prepare for death. Because it begins with that. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with Maharaj Parikshit. He has been cursed to die in 7 days. So then he sits down by the Ganga, and he's then visited by Shukadeva Goswami, and all the other sages and rishis are there also to listen. Shukadeva Goswami is then telling him, what is the highest duty of a man at the time of death? That's the original question of Maharaj Parikshit. And then he just starts saying that it is to remember the Lord at the time of death. Glorify the Lord at the time of death. It's the highest beneficiary activity a man can do at that time. And then Maharaj Parikshit is also asking so many other questions, and then it fills up the whole Bhagavatam. And in the end of the Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto, then Maharaj Parikshit is indeed dying, but he's dying in full Krishna Smaran, in full remembrance of Krishna. So mantra 17 really is very close to the spirit of Srimad Bhagavatam, 100%. And then in the mantra 18 we will then have the concluding prayer, and we will do that after the Sunday feast around 4 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.